Have you ever called your toddler's name 5 times? Put your shoes on. No response. Come here, please. Nothing. But then a grandparent, teacher, or complete stranger says the exact same thing once, and suddenly your toddler listens immediately? If you've ever wondered, why does my child ignore me but listen to everyone else? You're definitely not alone. And here's the surprising truth. Your toddler may not be ignoring you nearly as much as you think. In fact, the reason might have more to do with how their brain works than their behavior. Let's start with something important. Toddlers are not miniature adults. Their brains are still developing the skills needed for attention, self-control, and switching focus. Researchers at the Harvard Center on the Developing Child explain that the parts of the brain responsible for impulse control and attention are still under construction during the toddler years. Think of it this way. Imagine you're deeply focused on reading an exciting book. Someone calls your name from another room. You hear it, but your brain doesn't immediately switch tasks. Toddlers experience this even more intensely. When they're building a tower, exploring a toy, or pretending to cook dinner with a plastic spoon, their brains become completely absorbed. Developmental psychologist Jean Piaget described young children as active explorers whose learning happens through direct interaction with their environment. There's another interesting factor. According to attachment research from John Bowlby, children often feel safest around their primary caregivers. Ironically, that comfort can make them more relaxed and less immediately responsive than they might be with teachers, relatives, or unfamiliar adults. Let's see what this looks like in real life. Picture a 2-year-old building a block tower. You've asked them 3 times to put on their shoes. Meanwhile, they're carefully balancing the final block on top. To you, it feels like they're ignoring you. To them, their brain is completely focused on preventing a construction disaster. Now imagine a 3-year-old at the park. You say, "Time to go home." They continue digging in the sand. A few minutes later, a teacher from preschool happens to say hello and reminds them it's time to leave. Suddenly, they cooperate. Why? Partly because the teacher is a less familiar voice, which naturally captures attention. Novelty activates the brain. Parents often lose that novelty advantage. And here's a classic bedtime example. You ask your toddler to brush their teeth. Nothing. Dad asks. Still nothing. Then Grandma visits and says, "Let's brush those teeth." And somehow your child becomes the most cooperative person on earth. Every parent has experienced a version of this. It's frustrating, but it's also surprisingly normal. So how can you work with your toddler's brain instead of against it? First, get their attention before giving instructions. Move closer, make eye contact. Gently touch their shoulder if appropriate. A connected brain listens better than a distracted one. Second, use fewer words. Instead of saying, "We've talked about this 3 times and now we really need to leave because we're running late," try "shoes on." Short and clear is easier for a developing brain to process. Third, give transition warnings. Toddlers often struggle because they're being asked to stop one activity and start another. Try saying 5 more minutes, then we're leaving. This gives the brain time to prepare. Fourth, turn cooperation into connection. Use playful language. Can your shoes jump onto your feet? Play often succeeds where repeated commands fail. And finally, remember that attention is a skill that develops over time. Every calm interaction is helping build the brain pathways your child needs for listening, self-control, and cooperation in the future. So if your toddler seems to listen to everyone except you, take a deep breath. It doesn't mean you failed as a parent, and it doesn't mean your child doesn't respect you. In many cases, it simply means you're the person they feel safest with while their brain is still learning how to manage attention and transitions. Of course, if you have concerns about hearing, language development, or persistent difficulties responding to communication, it's always worth discussing them with your pediatrician. But for most families, this phase is a normal part of development. I'd love to hear from you. What's the funniest time your toddler ignored you, but listened to someone else immediately? Leave a comment below and share your story. And if you enjoy learning about how your child's mind works, follow the Baby Mind Coach for more science-backed parenting insights. You're doing a better job than you think.